Hey, Catherine, it's really nice to meet you. So, my name is Kelsey. I'm a social worker here, and I just want to start by thanking you for coming in to see me today.
I appreciate you taking the time to see me.
Yeah, so before we get started, I just want to do a little check-in. What name do you prefer to go by? Any pronouns you prefer?
I usually just go by Catherine.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, so first I want to take a few minutes to explain what today's session is going to look like. So this is called an intake session. So my goal today is to get to know you, understand kind of what's been going on with you, identify how we can best support you. And I want to talk about first what brought you in, and then towards the end we can work on a few goals moving forward. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, that sounds okay.
Okay, great. So I want to first review confidentiality. So what we share here is private, meaning I won't share it with others unless I have your permission, except for a few situations, like if there's a concern for safety, such as harm to yourself or others, in a case of abuse that I'm required to report. Do you have any questions about that?
So, it's okay for me to share things with you, and it sounds like if I was a harm to myself, you may have to report that to somebody. Is that what you're saying? Are you
Yeah,
going to put
that's
me in the hospital?
nope, we will not do that unless that's what we both agree that's what's best for you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And at any point, Catherine, if you feel like something gets uncomfortable or you need any clarification, just let me know. I really value your feedback as we start going along.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So to start, can you tell me a little bit about what brought you in to see me today?
Well, I may tear up a little bit. It's been really hard for me the last couple months. I have worked my entire life as a school teacher, and I'm recently retired. And you know, I just recently lost my husband too, and we had all these grand plans to travel the world, once I retired, and I just put in all this work throughout my career with that ultimate goal of getting to do all these great things with my husband that we had planned, and now it's just kind of just gone down the drain, and I just been really struggling lately with sleeping and, having nightmares, and it's just been a lot on me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with that with me. It takes a lot of courage to tell somebody how you're really feeling, and I know it can be really scary. So what I'm hearing is you've been feeling really alone since your husband died, and things just really haven't felt the same, having issues with sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, sleep's been really hard. If I had to guess, I'm probably only getting anywhere between 2 to 3 hours of sleep, and then when I finally do get to sleep, I have nightmares of, you know, him and when I'm at home alone because I've been kind of like isolating myself at home. We used to do volunteer work together. That's something that we really enjoy doing together, and you know I haven't wanted to do anything. And I feel like, where I'm home all the time, there's times I might hear him, and I just still feel his presence in the home. And so it's just been really hard. It's been hard to sleep. It's been hard to eat. Some days I just don't even want to move off the couch, and take showers. Like, my kids, we have two adult children that live out of state, and it's been hard for them too, and it's just it's been really hard on our family.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That does sound very difficult. So what I'm hearing is it sounds like your daily life used to be very shared with your husband. You guys used to do a lot together, and now there's kind of like an emptiness where you guys used to share those routines.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me a little bit about what those routines were like for you and your husband. How is it different now that he's gone?
Well, to be honest with you, our mornings were rushed, up until retirement. I mean, we only got to enjoy 2 months together. After I retired, he would always wake me up in the mornings for work, and we would have breakfast together before our day got busy, and he was the cook, he was like a little chef. He would always make our meals and making sure that, I was taken care of. And now I'm just left to do all these things by myself. And, I was a school teacher. I wasn't the cook. And, it's been really, again, it's been really hard moving day to day without him. To be honest with you, I I haven't been moving day to day without him. I feel like ever since the funeral, I've came home, all the supports that I had during that time has now went away, and I'm just left in the dust.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it sounds like those meaningful moments you had with each other, waking each other up and cooking together, it sounds like it gave you guys structure and a lot of connection. And losing your partner and that shared structure at the same time can be really disorienting. Is that kind of how you're feeling?
Yeah, it's definitely how I'm feeling because, again, I was a school teacher for over 30 years. So when I retired with excitement to be able to travel and do all these great things with my husband. And me and my husband were together for our entire lives. We grew up together. We were high school sweethearts. And then all of a sudden, bam, all of it's gone. My career's gone. The love of my life's gone. And I mean, yeah, I've got our two children. They're adults with their own lives and they don't live local. And I mean, we had, a couple of friends that we would volunteer with. So it's just, I don't, I don't feel comfortable moving on without him, if that makes sense. I feel like just sitting on this couch and doing absolute nothing, nothing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. Grief is an incredibly hard thing to get through. I know you talked a little bit about having friends that you guys used to volunteer with and your children, but they live kind of far away. I'm curious to know, have you been able to stay connected with family or friends at all during this time?
Well, mine and Joe's parents are both dead and gone now. So as far as us having parents, I mean, we don't have that. Um, Again, our adult children, we talk to 'em, or I talk to them, but it's not been as consistent as it was during, initially after Joe passed away and the funeral and that process. Because even before that, we might talk to the kids, two or three times out of the month. But again, they live out of state and they're busy with their own children. And so I would say the contact I have with my family has kind of went back to the what I consider normal before Joe passed away. And when Joe passed away, I had an influx of support and people reaching out. All the teachers that I worked with, them reaching out to me, and Joe's previous career too, because he was retired, and all of his law enforcement buddies reaching out to me, and I just felt really surrounded by all these supports, and then now it's gone.
Yeah. Well, that actually speaks to something really important, in my opinion. Despite how difficult the loss of your husband has been, you've been able to maintain those connections with some friends and family, even if it's been really hard to fully participate in those relationships. That shows a lot of strength and support in your life. Does that sound about right?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It's just trying to figure out how to move forward at this point.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that this loss happened not long after you both retired. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of change in a short period of time, losing your career role and your partner. I'm wondering how this has impacted your sense of purpose. Do you feel like you have purpose for something anymore?
No, I feel no purpose in this world. Um, it's not that I think about suicide or anything, but I do have like passing fleeting thoughts of I would rather just be with my husband.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you for sharing that with me. So what I'm hearing is you're kind of questioning what's coming next and what your role is now in life.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's okay, I want to check my understanding so far. So you've experienced this major loss with your husband's passing, and at the same time, you're still adjusting to retirement life. And since then, you've kind of been feeling alone and depressed and unsure of your purpose. And then you also have difficulties with sleeping and staying motivated. Does that sound accurate?
It does. It does.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, Catherine, for sharing all of that with me. I know it's not easy to talk about. Um, I'm wondering, what are you hoping to get out of counseling right now? What do you feel like I could support you best with?
I think, the main thing for me is I would definitely like to pursue some type of like grief counseling, maybe in like a group setting to kind of have shared experiences with others, because I know I'm not the only one going through the loss of a spouse or family member, things like that. So I would definitely be open to some type of like group setting, but also, I know that I'm depressed right now. And even though it's normal, I don't want to take any medications or anything like that, but I do want to be able to process some of my thoughts and feelings in therapy.
Okay. So based on what you've shared, I feel like we should focus on two main areas, processing your grief, the loss of your husband, and then gradually rebuilding that sense of connection and purpose. How does that sound to you?
Sounds really good.
Okay, so I want us to start thinking about a couple of small, manageable steps. We're not going to jump into anything big right now. I think one idea could be identifying maybe one activity during the week that helps you feel slightly connected, whether that's talking to one of your kids or one of the friends you used to volunteer with, even attending a grief group like you had previously talked about. What do you think about that? Does any of that sound good?
Yeah, I think maybe starting out with maybe grief group. I'd love to get back into volunteering because me and Joe really love that and we were really connected with the others at the center. So I think that would be helpful, just trying to take little small steps to just get out of the house again.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a great starting point. I think let's start small for now. What would you think about taking maybe 2 walks per week over the next 2 weeks? Does that feel doable?
Yeah, I think that would be fine. We have a really good neighborhood that we could, or I could walk into or walk around in. So I think that would be fine.
Okay, great. And then I know you talked about group grief sessions or maybe continuing individual sessions. Would you be open to trying grief support group or continuing to meet here weekly? Do you think one would be better than the other?
Could I do both?
Absolutely. If that's what you feel supports you best, we can absolutely do both.
Yeah, I would like to do both.
Okay. So I'm gonna summarize what we've talked about today and kind of go over our plan a little bit. So over the next 2 weeks, we're gonna aim to take 2 walks around the neighborhood, kind of reconnect, find a purpose, a routine, and then we're gonna continue meeting weekly to focus on your grief, and then we'll also start to check out some grief support groups, and then we'll check in on how that's going and adjust as needed. How does that sound?
Sounds really good. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. So before we wrap up, I just want to ask how you're feeling about today's session.
I feel hopeful. I feel like we've got a good plan. A little sad because we've talked about Joe, so but I'll be fine.
Okay, I'm really glad to hear that. You've taken a really important step coming in and sharing all this information with me today. Is there anything that you feel you should share with me before we leave today, or any questions?
No, I think you answered any questions that I may have. And when will we be meeting again next?
What about next week? How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay, awesome. I want to thank you again, Catherine, for being here and sharing all of that with me. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you again.